Hello, Ben.
Tom, good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm awesome, sir. You?
Good. Fine and dandy. Thank you. It's May 3rd.
It is May 3rd. What's happening
Okay,
on
so
May 3rd?
listen. Ben, how do I sound? Okay?
Tom, you sound like Tom, podcast host of Real Recovery Talk.
Yes, that is who I am. And Ben is, in fact, another podcast host of Real Recovery Talk. And the other one, Dr. Tambini, obviously isn't with us. So, Ben, why do we have the just for today on the screen here?
I think we're gonna read it to the people and
Read it.
then give a little feedback, if you will. Good way to start the day.
Good way to start the day. So tell us why we're choosing the just for today, considering we are AA people, but we chose to use the just for today. Explain why that is.
So I hold the personal opinion based off my experience, and this is kind of, again, you just mentioned where I'm an AA guy, and I do use the daily reflection and the 24-hour book. However, like when I do groups at Rock, I tend to use the NA because just to be straightforward, the it's a little easier to comprehend, if you will. You really can look at it and it's very self-explanatory. It's very clear. With AA, you really gotta the AA readings, you really kind of got to dive deep in understanding and understand the big book literature, things along those lines. I think this is a really good start for beginners. The way that they've formatted the just for today morning meditations. That makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So all you AAers out there, don't hate on us because it does it's a lot more simple. It's more palatable. So
And
what
all
we
you
thought,
NA folks, I hope you don't feel we misrepresent you.
yeah. Well,
We'll get Stephen Maya's opinion afterwards.
okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna attempt to do this reading every day. In full transparency, some of them we will have to pre-record, but we're going to try and do them live. And I know I've said that we're going to start going live consistently, and we have yet to do so. But here we are. And part of this, honestly, is good for me because I used to read these devotions a lot, and now I don't. So it's almost an accountability thing for myself too. So hopefully, hopefully we can make something out of this. Okay, Ben.
Sounds like a plan, Tom.
All right. Well, I'll read part of it. So what I'll do is I'll read the first couple paragraphs and then we could break it down and then we'll
Just
try
read
and
the whole
keep.
thing. Just read the whole thing.
Okay. All right, fine. May 3rd, sharing our gratitude. My gratitude speaks when I care and when I share with others the NA way. Gratitude prayer. The longer we stay clean, the more we experience feelings of gratitude for our recovery. These feelings of gratitude aren't limited to particular gifts like new friends or the ability to be employed. More frequently, they arise from the overall sense of joy we feel in our new lives. These feelings are enhanced by the certainty of the course our lives would have taken if it weren't for the miracle we've experienced in Narcotics Anonymous. These feelings are so all encompassing, so wondrous, and sometimes so overwhelming that we often can't find words for them. We sometimes openly weep with happiness while sharing in a meeting, yet we grope for words to express what we're feeling. We want so badly to convey to newcomers the gratitude we feel, but it seems that our language lacks the superlatives to describe it. When we share with tears in our eyes, when we choke up and can't talk at all, these are the times when our gratitude speaks most clearly. We share our gratitude directly from our hearts, with our hearts. Others hear and understand. Our gratitude speaks eloquently through our words, though our words may not. Just for today, my gratitude has a voice of its own. When it speaks, the heart understands. Today, I will share my gratitude with others, whether I can find the words or not. That was pretty deep, Ben.
That was. I like that one.
What do you
Gratitude's important.
what do you got?
What do I have to say on gratitude? I think that this reading is pretty self explanatory. So I'm going to share my experience with gratitude stuff. One of the things that jumped out to me in my recovery when gratitude was brought up and I was working with my sponsor, he said to me, Ben, gratitude is actually an action. It's something that we have to do, like being grateful. So what he would do is, oftentimes in 12 step fellowships, they'll send each other gratitude lists for the day. I mean, Tom, how many gratitude lists do you see sent out on a daily basis? Like, I probably receive like 15 gratitude lists from people a day, every morning, or at some point during the day. But the one thing that jumped out to me is I was taught not to just say what I'm grateful for, but it's okay, here's a gratitude list. And my sponsor said, how are you going to show it? And that's where that action thing comes in. Like, yeah, I might be grateful for some things, but how am I going to go out and demonstrate that I'm grateful for those things? And that could be service work, giving back, you know, doing my best to help others, if you will, and just not being selfish and self-centered. Like if I'm grateful to, for instance, have a home now or have a family. I think let me go with the family example. You know, having my family, having my kids, like it's easy for me to say that I'm grateful for that, but am I in my actions when nobody's looking, you know, interacting with them in a loving way as much as I possibly can, communicating with them in a loving way as much as I possibly can. Like, am I following up my words? I think is the most important aspect. That's pretty much my take on it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it's we oftentimes hear the phrase have an attitude of gratitude. And I think that's a very broad statement, but um I agree. I mean, gratitude can be shown in many different ways, and it's also one of the first things to go uh before a relapse. We oftentimes hear that, one of the first things to leave us is our gratitude. And I think that's true because a lot of times people start taking their sobriety for granted. They start to assume that they're entitled to certain things, and I should have this, I should have this by now. I should have that job by now. I should have this girlfriend by now or boyfriend by now or whatever the case is. And they really lose the gratitude, number one, of being clean and sober and, really just taking things for granted. So, I think that gratitude is obviously extremely important. We talk about it with our clients pretty much on a daily basis in some capacity. So yeah, I don't know, makes perfect sense to me. Good
Let me
reading.
touch let me touch on one more thing real quick, and this is my opinion, so take it or leave it. I like to make it clear when things are my opinion. And with that, not that I'm aware of, but in no 12 step fellowship is it actually part of the program to make gratitude lists. I definitely think it's helpful. However, like one of the things that I tend to see that if you are going to partake in doing gratitude lists, I have a couple suggestions for you. One of the things that I do see sometimes is like a lot of copy and paste from day to day, just so people are like, oh, I sent out my gratitude list to my sober support fellowship. And it'll literally be like copy and pasted with like a couple small changes. Like, are you really sitting there and being intentional about making your gratitude list? The other one is, going a little bit deeper than saying, I'm grateful for Red Bull in my vape today. Like, I get it. In early recovery, yeah, absolutely. That probably means something in the beginning. But if you're sending out a gratitude list with a year of sobriety, and every single day it says you're grateful for Red Bull in your vape, I would start questioning, like, are you doing this exercise, this spiritual exercise, just to say that you did it, get it done, you're like checking a box, or are you really being intentional about it? So really take the time to evaluate that. And the same thing goes with like prayer. Just as an example to kind of hit it home, how we close out meetings with the prayer, whether that's the Serenity Prayer, the Lord's Prayer, whatever the case, the third step prayer, whatever the case may be. And I always ask people, my sponsees, the clients, like, are you just saying the words, mouthing it, it's coming out? Are you really diving deep into it and thinking about every line that you're saying and what it means to you?
Right.
So be intentional.
That's it. Well, it's good, Ben. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, Tom.
Yes.
No one told you I love you today. I do, dude.
Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate that. I love you too, buddy. All right, so that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget the podcast. It's in the corner here. That's our logo. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and obviously on YouTube. And if you have any questions or concerns, you could always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. info@realrecoverytalk.com. That is it. We will see y'all later.